Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm John.
And I'm Kevin.
And this is 6 Degrees of Schwarzenegger, the podcast where we take a long, hard look at some of our favorite action movies from the era of Arnold.
Schwarzenegger is the icon of the genre, and we're taking a deep dive into some of these 80s and 90s cult action movies and breaking them all the way down.
Welcome back, everyone, to the podcast. We are pleased as punch to have Kevin's friend Kyle with us. Hi, Kyle.
Hi.
Yes. No one should have to go through this alone.
Everyone needs a friend.
Or even with one companion.
Yeah, we are each other's support group at this point.
I kid, because I'm enjoying this movie and this podcast so far.
Yeah.
We're talking about Masters of the Universe.
And this is episode 2 in our series of, I will admit, a much beloved movie from my childhood that stems from a deep and abiding love that I had for the cartoon and all the action figures, and that was a big part of my everyday life outside of school was playing with those things. So.
Me too. Like, they were the only action figures I had. Like everyone else was playing with, like, Transformers and G.I. Joe and all that. It's like a blind spot for me, man. It was He-Man up until
I had
the
He-Man,
90s.
lots of He-Man, a few G.I. Joes.
Mm-hmm.
I played with something called Starcom. Do you remember anything called
I do
Starcom?
not.
It was like it was space toys or whatever.
Okay.
They were pretty rad though. I don't know if they had a cartoon or not, but I thought we could take a moment to reflect on the origins of He-Man.
Let us pray.
So, He-Man, created by Mattel as a toy line.
Right.
They wanted an action figure toy. They had passed on Star Wars.
Genius. What a great move.
So they had then tried to make up for that by making deals with, like, to have Flash Gordon toys or Clash of the Titans toys and Battlestar Galactica toys. And they all
Interesting.
bombed. And they realized we should just make our own thing that we own, the creative to. Now they're Mattel, they're internal research. So what little boys wanted were big muscles and power.
This was the 1980s, after all.
Of course, man. So He-Man was sort of inspired by the Conan the Barbarian aesthetic.
Right.
Is there a more misogynistic name for a character ever
Than He-Man?
He-Man?
Had to really hammer it in there. It is, though. It sticks in your head, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's effective.
It's catchy.
For like a 10-year-old boy?
Oh, sure.
He-Man.
Yeah, no, it's the perfect power fantasy for a little kid. Yeah.
I mean, Superman was taken already.
And our listeners at home would not know it, but like the way that Kevin just said it, it was like sort of a reverse uppercut. He-Man! Like
pump
you have
that
to
fist.
do. Yeah, baby, you have to.
So the toys dropped early in 1982, right about the same time that the Conan movie came out.
Perfect timing.
It was great timing. It was like instantly popular. The original toys, they were packaged with little comic books, which I do not recall. That's where like the storytelling began.
Their excuse for like how they had like a character that looks like a skeleton or a skunk or a beast man.
And they felt like, how are kids supposed to play with this? Like, what's the story? Like, what is everyone's motivation? What's the world like? What's going on here? So then they realized they could do even better with a cartoon series.
Right.
So that followed in fall of 1983. It was basically just a way to market the toys.
Right.
Right? So genius, because I think you weren't allowed to... There was some sort of rule like you couldn't advertise toys during certain hours, or you could only advertise so much. And they're like, well, what if we just did a whole show that's all one long ad?
That's genius.
You're like, no laws against that.
That guy got a raise.
Dude.
And a promotion.
Absolutely. So like that whole the Prince Adam alter ego and all that was a creation of the series.
Right.
It's obviously missing from the film.
Right.
They were also, I don't remember this from the show, but they were like the humor and like morality lessons or whatever at the end of the show, like G.I. Joe style. I don't recall that in He-Man, just watching it, but apparently they were in there.
That was like every cartoon of the 80s, though.
Yeah.
Like they just to get past like standards and practices, they had to have like a lesson for kids.
You're like busting heads for 20 minutes. Then at the end you're like, and don't do drugs or whatever it is. G.I. Joe also like relaunched right about this same time with the same sort of formula, like a series and a new line of toys and the little morality lessons at the end, which I fucking love the G.I. Joe show.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's funny, though, Kevin. I was thinking about this because you mentioned Conan the Barbarian, and I'm like, there was like a small stretch of time where barbarian stuff was like, sword and sorcery was like at its apex within sort of pop culture. Like
Golden Axe.
Yeah, and like, what was it? Ator the Fighting Eagle. I don't know if you ever saw that. Or, of course, Beastmaster, the actual masterpiece of the genre.
That was the first ever podcast that John came on, was when we broke down Beastmaster.
What a joy.
Amazing. Which was obviously... Yeah, Conan, I think, was at the crest of that wave. Yeah. Or even the Excalibur movie.
Yeah,
which was fucking rad.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, maybe Clash of the Titans is sort of the genesis point of all of that.
True.
But it's interesting that, like, there was a small sliver of time where shirtless muscle men captured America's hearts. I mean, maybe. Most of them were flops.
And we never looked back.
Right.
Yeah. No, it was amazing to me. Yeah, it's isn't so much of life in general as just timing. Like we were at the right place at the right time with the right idea and caught lightning in a bottle or whatever.
Yeah, 100%.
There was then She-Ra followed.
Yeah.
They had a toy line
for Girls.
He-Man for Girls launched in '84. They had their own series, TV show that came out in '85 and has been reborn on Netflix, right? Now the brand by 1987 had kind of plateaued. And they thought, okay, we're going to do a movie. It's going to like re-energize the brand. Didn't really work out that way. The movie like just strayed far from the mythos and the look of the cartoon as well.
One would probably argue the movie may have killed the franchise, actually.
I think it did more harm than good, right?
For certain.
They said it caused a further decline, really, in the brand. Then they tried to... Mattel like relaunched He-Man in space in 1989, which I do not remember.
I vaguely remember.
I think I had moved on to other toys. I was like one of the lost
I was heavy
customers.
Ninja Turtles at that point.
Fuck yes, dude, Ninja Turtles.
I had an action figure of the He-Man New Adventures, and it was like they gave him blue pants, and they cut his hair.
Yes, they gave him an updated look.
Yeah, he didn't have like the page boy haircut anymore.
The feathered hair.
Yeah, he had like just like straight back, sort of shorter hair, and like he had like one sort of like thing across his chest.
I think I remember that too.
Yeah. It was like sci-fi He-Man, as you say. But like, I never saw an episode of the cartoon at all, but I had one of the toys.
They've relaunched again and again over the years with various reboots. I think there's a new...
And they're about to do it again.
New one coming on
a couple of weeks.
Is it Kevin Smith?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
I'm actually excited about it. It looks, the voice talent is like, it's an all-star cast.
Who's on it?
All right, so let's start from the top. So... I have no idea who's He-Man, but I know
Chris Wood. He was on Supergirl. He played a character called Mon-El. So there you go.
Okay.
Lena Headey is in it.
Who is she?
Lena Headey was Cersei.
Well, I mean, I know who she is, but who is she playing?
This doesn't say, so I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess she's Evil Lyn.
She's got the evil persona down, Pat.
Who else? Sarah Michelle Gellar is Teela.
Yep,
it's cool.
You know
Skeletor, guys, bring it.
Yeah,
you have to give that tidbit out.
Oh, that's Mark Hamill, who I'm sure
voice talent as well. His Joker.
Oh, sure, yeah,
it's so good. Everyone loves it. So that's not a bad lineup. And then Kevin Smith helming it. So I think it's going to be. I think it's something to look forward to anyway.
Do we think it's going to be for adults or for kids or both?
Both.
They're trying to make that. They're trying to hit that Cobra Kai demographic.
I hope that Kevin Smith, after all the many lessons he's learned as a comic book lover and filmmaker, that he knows that you got to do both.
A little nostalgia.
A little nostalgia will, keep the ardent fans, but you've got to also appeal to a younger crowd.
Guys, I got to tell you, I just saw Henry Rollins is playing Triclops.
Yes.
Tony Todd, the Candyman himself, is playing a character called Scareglow, which is not one I'm familiar with.
He was a skeleton almost exactly like Skeletor, but he didn't have a hood, and he glowed in the dark.
Hell yeah. I'm into it.
We had that action figure.
And the best casting of all of this for me, playing Cringer, the cat,
Yes.
He-Man, is Stephen Root.
Ooh, that's fucking awesome.
Did the cat straight up talk? Like, did he speak English or did he just make noises?
No, he spoke English. Cringer did. Battlecat did not speak English, but Cringer did.
Yeah.
Steven Root, that's awesome, dude.
No.
I'm here for all of this. Okay, now I'm more excited than I was 5 minutes
it's gonna be
ago.
good.
Anyway, we got a movie to talk about here.
Yes.
A little Masters of the Universe. It's smart that they didn't call it the He-Man movie because he's missing in action for 3/4 of this film.
I wonder if there was more shot with him in it, and it got cut.
I think Dolph Lundgren was not the actor that they thought he was going to be.
That he thought he was.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense that Canon would do that. Like, because this is the same company that put out like the Barbarian Twins movie and like all kinds of shit like that. So it would be weird unless they just thought, wow, this really isn't working at all.
Yeah. I think, and they probably, I don't know what they paid him, but it was probably pretty decent money.
Sure.
If they had him attached, like, before they started casting anyone else or got a director lined up. Anyway.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, well. So I guess before we get started on this second episode, we'll get caught up on what happened the last time. So the movie picks up with Skeletor has just invaded Castle Grayskull with his army. He's taken over. He's claimed that he's in charge of everything now. And outside, the good guys are mowing some bad guys down. That includes He-Man, Teela, and Man-at-Arms. They rescue a gremlin named Gwildor, who, come to find out, invented the cosmic key. So they use the tunnels in Gwildor's house, which inexplicably lead to Grayskull, find the sorceress, try to rescue her, to no avail. Skeletor comes in, all hell breaks loose. Oh, also, come to find out, Gwildor had the prototype cosmic key, which he brought with him. And then just as they're all about to be captured, they use it. Gwildor starts punching buttons at random. They end up on planet Earth somehow. Skeletor says to track the key to find out where they went. But back to Earth, He-Man and the good guys find that their version of the cosmic key somehow got lost, and they're all setting out to find it and figure out what the fuck happened.
Well, now...
Chapter 2,
we pick up...
Verse 1.
Exterior, Robbie's Ribs and Chicken
I love an old drive-in.
Dude, I love the look of this place.
Yeah, me too.
It was the exact type of place I want to eat when I'm on a road trip.
Yeah.
Whatever. Fucking awesome. So we got Julie, that's Courtney Cox. She's inside. She's running the register, dressed in Western attire.
Complete with a gun belt and pistol.
She had holsters on. She was not wearing the cowboy hat that the others were wearing. Little tiny cowboy hat. I thought she looked like something out of a David Lynch movie or something.
Yeah,
like
sure.
He's like so good at finding these fresh-faced, like impossibly gorgeous women to turn up in his things. And it's like, I've never seen this person before.
She could, like, she definitely could have been on Twin Peaks. Like, replace Sherilyn Flynn or something like that. Like,
absolutely. That or like Laura Dern out of Blue Velvet or whatever.
Good call.
So yeah, the theme apparently of the restaurant is country western. They're walking whatever.
Gingham shirts and shit.
Gingham shirts, guns,
blue jeans,
cowboy hats, bandanas around the neck. I would eat at this place, though.
Oh, yeah, dude. I'd never had ribs before when I saw this movie, and it made me want to have ribs. Watching it yesterday, it made me want to have ribs.
Me too.
Did you get to ribs quickly in your life after the movie, or did it take a long time?
It took a while, I guess.
Ribs, to me, are like chicken wings. It's a lot of effort for a small reward.
Yeah. It's worth it.
It just depends on where you get them from. I've had some in Memphis that are like dry rub. It's the best stuff I've ever had.
I'm just not going to the right ribs places here.
Anyway, Fat Matt's.
Yeah?
It's a good place.
Okay.
Piedmont.
So, inside Robbie's, we got Julie. She's looking wistful. She reveals that she's clocking out for her last time at Robbie's. Her friend is there. She reveals that she's about to move to Jersey.
She's moving there to be with Bruce Springsteen.
Did they ever reveal who she's going to move with?
I have a lot of questions about all this that we're gonna talk about, but
we're gonna have to.
It's like
no one plans to move to Jersey, so you know something went wrong. You know something's gone wrong.
Someone that hasn't even graduated from high school yet is planning to move to New Jersey.
That's my read, but she talks about I'm going to miss graduation, but So we think that is definitively means she's a senior.
Yeah.
Right now?
It has
Yeah.
to be.
I was hoping that she's older because her being that young makes just so little makes sense now.
Agreed. Because also later on, Kevin says, I'm in a high school garage band. And I'm like, fuck.
But they
Everyone
both
looks-
look 25.
Yeah, everyone looks older. Anyway, yeah, she's definitely moving there to be with the bus.
to Springsteen to join the E Street
That's
Band.
right.
So her friend tells her that if she breaks up with Kevin, she's going to regret it.
That's terrible advice. Also, did you catch
Well,
that
no one should ever break up with Kevin.
No, well, yeah, that's true. That's also true. The friend's name is Monica.
Oh, was it? I did not catch the friend's name.
Yeah, the friend's name is Monica.
She had like a Linda Hamilton Terminator vibe to me, the
Yeah.
friend. The hairstyle and everything was just
Sure.
that mid-'80s perm, whatever it was.
How could you tell with that hat?
So Julie's telling Monica then that they both changed, that everything has changed. Speaking of changing, Julie's like changing clothes right in the middle of the kitchen.
Yeah.
And that's got to be against health code.
Right.
Robbie's a very small place.
It is. Her friend's pointing out, well, you still love each other.
the
That's a
fuck she
valid
know?
point she's making. At the same time that she's just like pounding a drumstick.
Yeah.
She was inhaling that thing.
Yeah, I'm envious.
Now, Julie, she just says she doesn't want to burden Kevin with her problems. Her friend says, you don't have to move, that your parents would have wanted you to stay.
How the fuck does Monica know all this? Like, what do you know about her parents? And also, where are her parents? Like,
We assume, it sounds like something bad has happened.
yeah.
Right? Julie says she's going to move 3,000 miles away for a fresh start.
For with who?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I keep thinking it's like
There's
maybe
gotta
she's
be
got
family.
She has to
But that's never
a cousin.
spoken.
No, it's
they
never
never mention
said.
of an aunt or anything. I mean,
You got to
uncle.
give us something.
Like, why not move to? And that's another thing is that we sort of establish is that like it must come from a wealthy family to be 18 years old to just be taking whatever money she's got and just move all the way across
Sure.
the country.
It raises so many questions. First is what's going on with Julie's denim jacket. That thing
It's
has got like
hot.
just dozens of metal studs, like
Yeah.
the buttons
It's
from a pair of
awesome.
blue jeans all over. It's got like that leather patch that you get on the waist up around the collar. It's fucking rad. It
look for
had
that now.
belt loops on the collar.
You pay top dollar for that now.
You think?
No.
But back in that day, I bet it was like the shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a car honks outside. It's Kevin. She's come to pick Julie up. Kevin and his cargo van are waiting out there. It's the
pretty
same.
sweet.
It's the same exact shot that was in the Establisher. Like in the Establisher, the van was sitting there as well. Even the same customers were walking back and forth. So I'm like, they clearly stole a piece of that and used it.
Right.
There's a certain cool factor, I think, in having a van like that back in the 80s.
Oh, definitely.
It's like the Shaggin' Wagon or
Yeah.
whatever.
It reminds me of Styles in Teen Wolf.
Yes,
Styles van.
dude. Or in Fast Times at Ridgemont High,
yeah,
dude was
yeah.
rocking a van.
Yeah.
The dude playing Kevin, Robert Duncan McNeil, he looked like some type of a hybrid of like every 80s teen idol. Like if you took him into a
Yes.
laboratory, it was like Anthony Michael Hall plus Jason Bateman with a little Andrew McCarthy.
Well, you know what's funny is as I was watching this movie, I was like, I know I've seen that guy in something else.
Had you?
Yeah, he was on every episode of Star Trek Voyager.
Okay.
He was-
I never watched those.
It's terrible.
It would have been
but-
10 years later as well or something.
Yeah,
probably.
it was in the mid '90s. He played a character called Lieutenant Paris, and then now he's like a producer of TV shows. He like helped create Chuck and a number
good
of
for
other
him.
shows that are debuting here and there. So yeah, he's a big wig now.
He was
for him. That's
bumping.
awesome.
He was bumping the song "Living in a Box" by the band "Living in a Box." In
Their
that band.
self-titled single.
The self-titled. Yeah, bizarre. Julie gets in with a bucket of food, and she asks Kevin.
She's a keeper, man.
Yes, Kevin asks, "When's your bus to the airport?" Which I feel like he should know.
You would
already
already know that.
She says it's at 8:30, and he's happy because that will allow her to come and check out his sound check.
Oh my god, you guys. That shit is lame. That is lame.
That's how every girl wants to spend her last few hours together.
It's our shit boyfriend.
It's insane. She passes in that bucket
Terrible.
of ribs, which he points out isn't a romantic last date meal.
Neither is taking her to your sound check, jackass. Like
This is like dude. The dude's an asshole.
yeah.
And
He's obviously butthurt that she's leaving.
this dude who like literally just asked her to come to his sound check. There's this long awkward silence after he gave that line about it not being romantic. and you really just notice that the terrible 80s pop song is playing in there, which I will use on these episodes. On first viewing, I thought the audience was supposed to think that he's an asshole. Like, because he just came off as so hateable. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it could be like an attempt at like subverting expectations. Like, oh no, this boyfriend sucks, and he turns around and
he's
kind
not
of warms on the audience.
the worst.
But I don't think this movie had that much on its mind.
No, I think
way too much credit.
I think you're supposed to think he's a cool '80s dude.
Yeah,
and he just comes off as just the worst. He begins pressing her to stay. She doesn't really want to hear it. She said,
"Take a later flight."
She's like, "We decided." Which definitely doesn't sound like a mutual thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I remember
Not that it needs to be mutual.
Conversation. Thank you.
If she wants to leave, like, that's her. That's her choice.
It's her prerogative.
She asks if he'll take her to the cemetery to say goodbye to her parents.
Man, the night is full of fun activities.
I feel like the stage is set for just the worst last night together ever. It's like cold ribs, a trip to the cemetery, and a sound check.
Cold ribs are the standout in this situation.
Thank God for He-Man.
That's right.
Now, as they drive off, we see Tila. She's there surveying the scene from the bushes. This place, Robbie's, which we discussed, looks awesome. It was a real restaurant at the time that they had redressed to play Robbie's in the movie, and apparently it is the same parking lot where the Rodney King beating took place some years later.
Woof.
That's just a reality check.
All right, that's some trivia right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I tried to cue up the beating tape recently, and you can't see anything.
No, you just see the headlights and
it's awful.
the police violence.
Does the movie officially establish that this is taking place in California at any point?
Yes.
They say it.
Well, they say the parents are flying to Catalina.
Oh.
So I just assumed, and given the terrain in that shot, like I was just like, I feel like it's supposed to be.
Though on first viewing, I will say I was just sure they were in Oklahoma or somewhere.
Well, with a cow,
right?
Like who has cows wandering
roaming
around?
free range cows in the valley. But
you never know.
But there's a lot of palm trees also.
Exactly.
That we see, but I did think for sure this was somewhere in the Midwest. Because who goes from California to Jersey?
Rich kids.
To reinvent myself.
She's doing a reverse LaRusso.
Oh, man.
So Tila, hiding in the bushes, she hears a noise. She quickly draws her blaster, and she is ready to kill. It's Duncan.
It's her dad.
Which that's the first time that it's revealed. Was that the case in the cartoon?
Yeah.
That
Yes.
Tila's Man-at-Arms daughter? Okay.
Yeah.
I had forgotten, and they were late to reveal that in the movie, I thought. So Tila says, that he strayed far from his search area. And he says he was drawn from the smell of those sweet, sweet ribs.
An old soldier learns to follow his nose.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, same.
Tila seems concerned that they don't have time to stop for a meal, but Duncan says, well, we're not going to save the sorceress if we die of starvation.
That's logic.
Well, are you going to starve? I don't know how long 0.84 chromons is.
I feel like 0.8 is
long enough to
almost
starve?
2 days.
Okay, that's close enough.
You got to
be
keep
weak.
up your strength.
Save your strength. Now, about this time, they spot Gwildor also hiding in the bushes there at the restaurant.
behind the couple making out in their car.
Dude, and he's like leering at them and sort of smacking his lips in a way that made me feel uncomfortable.
I love Duncan's. I was doing that before you were even born. It's like gross, Dad.
Well, I would hope so.
Yeah.
Also, anyway, Gwildor breaks out the grappling hook. He uses it to snag a bucket of food from the couple that's making out in the car. So they go over. They find Gwildor just stuffing his face. He says he was going to share it with them.
Bullshit.
And he's chugging that barbecue sauce, man.
That's so
It's all
awesome.
in his beard or whatever it is.
It looks like me every time I visit Community Q. So
Yes. That looked like Carolina style, didn't it? Like the vinegar-based
big
sauce.
time, yeah.
I do love that it's just like it's an amalgam. It's just an assortment of meats.
It is a bucket of meat.
Chicken, meat on meat, toasted meat on meat, chicken and ribs.
I really dig Billy Barty's performance in the movie, though.
Sure.
Like, I think he's having a blast.
He's the most committed actor in this outside of Frank Langella.
Yeah,
Big
yeah.
time.
For sure.
Like, if there was ever a movie not to take too seriously, I feel like it was this one, and I feel like he was just having fun. doing it, so I can totally vibe on that.
Yeah.
Now they're sorting their bucket of just assorted meat. Tila asks, why is the food on these little white sticks? And then she's appalled to find out that they're eating meat.
Yeah, Dad reveals it's a rib bone.
Hold on now. There's no way that Adam/He-Man would get the bulk he's got without eating, you got to eat muscles to get muscles, baby.
protein.
That's
I was
science.
wondering the same thing. Is like, what kind of society is Eternia?
Is she vegan? What's going on over here?
And clearly Duncan's like, I've eaten. He knows what it is.
Has he been to other worlds? Has he been off world?
That's what I'm wondering. Is like Eternia? Is there interstellar space travel? Is it sort of like Thundercats, where you get to fly to other places? Is it Dune? Like, what's the deal? Like, what's Eternia's relationship with other planets?
It raised a million questions. Is eating meat unheard of on Eternia?
Yeah. Apparently, yeah. Maybe.
Or they're eating these weird, boneless, fleshy creatures.
Therefore, they're like the fauna are just like flopping around. All their animals
like jellyfish.
are
Anyway, yeah, she comments this is a barbaric world. I think Duncan gives her the advice: never think while you're hungry.
Good advice.
So Tila says we got to get back to searching for the cosmic key. Now, over at the cemetery, Julie is confiding in Kevin that she feels like it's her fault that her parents died. She says, they were planning to go to the beach, but then she bailed on them so she could study.
So she could hang out with Kevin.
Is that?
Yeah, she says, I
No,
bailed.
I thought she said to study.
Yeah, but she hung out with Kevin.
Oh, I like that.
Which I love that dig. She's basically like, well, I did it to hang out with you.
That gives a reason why she doesn't want to stay with him.
Yeah.
I thought like if they had been like fucking, and the parents crashed their plane, then it would make sense that she couldn't look at him anymore.
Yeah, she was like, ditched him to hang out with your ass.
They were probably going to the fucking Catalina wine mixer. Was what I was thinking from Step Brothers.
I like that they're just having this conversation now, by the way.
Yeah, we never have talked about
this. Buried for months, probably.
How long? Yeah, the year on the tombstones was 86. So I don't know how early this is, if it's graduation time of 87.
Yeah.
It's been at least then 5 months
I'd
or
say
so.
it's the spring of junior year.
Is when they passed?
86.
So it's been a full year.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So Kevin points out her parents wouldn't want her to blame herself, which is probably true.
Right.
Julie says she just wishes she could change things. Kevin says that only happens in fairy tales. That is some industrial strength foreshadowing.
What?
Also, like the worst possible thing you could ever say to someone at a cemetery.
Yeah, nothing changes.
Yeah, nothing ever changes.
Just internalize this. Deal with it.
We're late for my sound check.
We gotta get to the high school, babe.
So as they're going to leave, they stumble upon the cosmic key. It's like in a crater in the
Beeping
cemetery.
and glowing and throw it up steam.
Yeah, how did shit wind up there? We don't quite know.
It's not for us to know.
They're both immediately like intensely happy.
Whoa!
And excited.
What the fuck is this thing?
I get because he's a douchebag who doesn't really care about her parents, but she was immediately like thrilled at finding this thing.
That's
whatever it is.
The quality of Gwildor's design.
The tone of the scene just changed on a dime.
Yeah.
Dumbass Kevin, he says it's a Japanese synthesizer.
Yeah, they accidentally hit the play button, so it starts making music and lighting up, and then immediately he's like, "Oh yeah, I've seen this."
I did dig the sound that the cosmic key made, like the
Yeah,
it was pretty. It was actually kind of sweet. So Julie's like, "Well, we better give it to the caretaker." He's like, "Fuck no, he just keep it for himself." So Kevin logic is like, "I should keep it for myself."
Yeah.
Like,
Ain't that America?
No, we cut back to Eternia. Evelyn is telling Skeletor that the cosmic key has been activated. That they've got a bearing on the location. How close? It's within a parsekion.
Okay.
Whatever the fuck that means. That's also just like straight Star Wars plagiarism, right? Parsekion. Anyway, Skeletor says, get a lock on that location and send a team of mercenaries. So
I think it's parsec eon, which even doesn't make even more sense, because parsec eon, an eon
of parsecs?
That's the long.
It'd be a long way, right?
Anyway, yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Now back on Earth, He-Man is kind of skulking around.
We finally, where the fuck has He-Man been this
He's
whole
been missing.
time?
It's the most conspicuous looking shit you can imagine.
He is in a residential area dressed like that.
He's a jacked like 6'4" dude with a cape.
a sword,
and a pair of bikini briefs. And he's like trying to blend in. Now, at the high school...
And that's it. That was all of He-Man you get.
That was what we get for now. That's our dose of He-Man.
Thanks.
At the high school, Kevin is playing with his synthesizer while Julie looks bored.
Sounds right.
Kevin sucks. He's like a child.
I have to say, though, his setup is badass.
You were digging it?
Yeah. It's a Fender Rhodes and the Rhodes Chroma Polaris, which you can't find. Like, you can find the circuit board for it, like rebuilt circuit boards, but to find that keyboard, the one that's on top that he's playing on, is almost impossible to find.
So is he another rich kid?
Probably.
Or is he making bank?
He might be a hardworking musician.
His band, Illusions.
That's a great 80s band name.
The director
right?
said that was the name of his high school band.
That's awesome.
Illusions.
Goddard. I love it.
Sounds like a strip club.
Sound checks are boring, by the way. Sound checks fucking suck.
Well, Kevin's like, hey, Julie, listen to this. And then just play some dog shit.
I think he's trying to play whatever the sound was he heard from.
Oh, is he already trying
key.
to riff that Tears for Fears? Which is a killer riff.
Yeah, it's badass.
What do you think? He says. She like goes along with it. Now he just grabs the cosmic key, starts to play it some more. It's generating this like kind of trippy light show up in the air, which I did dig that effect throughout.
I guess though Goldor put some built-in speakers on that. I'm just like
it has an integrated
works.
speaker apparently.
Yeah.
On Eternia, the baddies are like able to zero in on the location of the key now. This dude who looks like a middle management Destro.
Yeah.
Who was up
That's
on the
awesome.
He's like
dude.
got a silver like chrome dome.
That is awesome.
He's working the tracker.
Destro. That's amazing.
Skeletor asks Evelyn if she's assembled the mercenaries, not noticing that they're standing right beside him already.
Yes, sir.
Like they are right there. Evelyn introduces them. So we got Blade, who's basically human. Has a sort of a weird chin strap headpiece on.
He looks cool.
Chainmail.
I had the action figure of Blade.
Was he a real character,
No.
or was he from the movie?
It was a movie set of action figures.
That's
shit!
cool.
Were they more human proportions?
No, they were about the same size.
They were like just real bulky.
Yeah. But Blade was one of the ones I had because he had swords.
So this guy is played
baby.
by the actor Anthony DeLongis, who played Ketchum in Roadhouse that we did recently. The dude who drives Bigfoot in Roadhouse. But he was like a real swordsman, apparently, and he like choreographed all the sword fight stuff for the
Oh,
film.
great job, Anthony. Way to go.
Grade A.
Also, like, apparently that costume, the chainmail, was like the real chainmail, not the Bennett from
It's like
Commando
50
chainmail.
pounds
It's like
worth.
a 50-pound costume that he's wearing. Yeah. We had Salrod, this reptilian sort of looking thing with armor and a helmet, who had, I thought, by far the coolest look.
Easily.
Yeah.
He had this sack in his neck that would
That
expand
was
and
badass.
contract.
That effect was cool.
Yeah.
Also, the name was probably just scammed off of Tolkien.
Sarad, yeah.
Yeah.
We had
Sarad.
the Beast Man. She calls him, not Beast Man. I don't know, but
Beast Man.
he's basically Wolf Man.
I was so excited when he debuted, though.
But he looked way different. It wasn't Beast Man was in the cartoons.
He's
It
orange.
looked very different.
Orange
Yeah.
with like a blue face.
Was he furry?
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
furry, but he didn't look like that guy.
Okay, this was basically just I felt like a Wolfman costume, and they're like, give us a werewolf look,
Yeah.
whatever. And then Karg, this kind of diminutive monster with the insane like white mullet.
And he's got like a jagged hook.
He's got a hook.
Hand.
I think we assumed that He-Man he battled He-Man and lost that hand.
Maybe.
I think the same
Yeah.
for Blade's missing eye.
I
Yeah.
have to be honest with you guys. I sort of feel like these were all character costumes that they just had laying around.
Totally.
And they were like,
Definitely.
Lazy.
let's put that guy in all the chainmail from some other night movie we were working on.
But I dug Karg's like whole weird vibe that he had, to be honest. Like he was
his furs and things.
everything
he's wearing,
about him,
yeah.
like he kind of worked for me. Whoever that actor was really doing it for me. So Skeletor tells him, bring He-Man back before moonrise. Tells him, go down to Earth, get the key, kill the others if you need to, but bring He-Man back alive. Whatever. He doesn't want He-Man to be like a martyr figure or some shit.
Right.
They're standing in a completely different order than they were moments ago as he's like addressing them, but that's neither here nor there.
It's
He
fine.
says, open the door, do not fail me, sends their asses through the portal or whatever.
Right.
Now, back at the high school, Kevin's continuing to marvel at the cosmic key. He wants to take it to his friend Charlie, who runs the instrument shop
On
in
the
town.
night that his girlfriend is leaving town. On the night his girlfriend, who he ostensibly doesn't want to leave town, is supposed to leave town.
Can't wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
Gotta show Charlie now.
We gotta take it to Charlie
Isn't the
now.
prom supposed to be starting soon as well?
It can't be that night.
The prom?
Do you think it is?
Oh, yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Later on, like, prom goers are there.
Yeah, I don't know
shit,
why
I
he would
didn't
be doing.
realize
I
that.
don't know why he'd be doing sound check the night before. You
I don't know.
know?
I
don't
started
know,
thinking of
but-
like weird things about high school and just like leave your equipment set up overnight.
I mean, it would make more sense, actually, I think, but it is supposed to be prom night, I also
Okay.
think. Note that Kevin was also not planning to take Julie to prom, apparently. He's like, no, I gotta play. Illusion's gotta play. You'll, man the punch bowl or whatever. But so, yeah, Julie tells him, go ahead. She'd rather be alone to say goodbye to the empty high school gym.
I mean, you do you, girlfriend. Spend some time with your memories, whatever.
Yeah, this is where she says she's going to miss graduation, which I
Right.
guess does mean they're seniors.
Right.
Like, he definitely seems older. Could he not be a graduate and she's still a senior?
Maybe. Yeah, I guess so. It's possible.
I don't know. If they're still in high school, it raises so many
But
questions.
how is he making enough money gigging?
He's a
like,
rich
where
kid,
I guess so,
think.
yeah.
That's my take.
Yeah.
Has she just been living by herself?
That's what I'm saying. Is I
Then
guess
since
her-
the parents died?
Yeah, she's been living in the house. I guess her
How?
parents left her a bundle. They must have, because they were rich. They
I
must
would
have
think
left her
if she's a
shit tons of money.
minor, if she was 17 back then, how would she have...
Yeah, I mean,
She's supporting herself off the Robbie's rib wages?
I don't know.
should be shunted off to some family out
Someone
somewhere else.
Yeah.
She'd have to have an adult, I think.
Maybe she's got an uncle that's a lawyer out in Jersey that's
Sure,
taking
an
care of
estate
all this
lawyer.
shit for her. I don't know who.
The same one who sabotaged that plane.
Yeah.
So Kevin
It took a dark turn.
Kevin is hesitant to leave, but he does it anyway.
Yeah.
Leaves her there alone. She's like desperately would rather be alone than around him.
Yeah. She's like,
And
oh,
he's
thank
being
God.
real pushy, like, you wait right here. Don't go anywhere. Like, whatever. Julie looks at her locket where she's got pictures of the parents in there. She hears a commotion off screen out in the lobby. We see the mercenaries and a few miscellaneous soldiers have popped through the portal. Julie thinks maybe it's Kevin playing a prank on her.
Or Carl the janitor.
Carl the janitor.
Play a prank on a student.
That'd be fucking twisted. But anyway,
Carl's an asshole.
out in the lobby, we got the custodian, Carl. He pops out to investigate the commotion, and he just gets dealt
Hey,
with.
you can't be here.
Wolfman, like, roughs him up. It's odd that the custodian's wearing a letter jacket.
Right.
He went to school
Creepy.
there. He went to Central
Oh, no
High.
doubt.
Still living his
He's like Al Bundy.
past.
Like, I scored 4 touchdowns in a
touchdowns.
high school football
4
game.
touchdowns.
It's a state record. Yeah, they throw Carl through the door and burst into the gym area.
Right.
Julie runs to take cover behind the stage. I feel like if this happened to me, my reaction would be like, just what is this LARPing bullshit? Like, do you assume there's real creatures and monsters?
This is the point where I get like extremely disappointed in the scope of this movie, because it's like you go
Yeah.
from like Universal, Eternia, magic stuff that doesn't make any sense, but at least like it can tickle your imagination a little bit, to dudes in costumes walking around a high school gym. And
It's like Dragon Con. It feels like Dragon Con.
Yeah, it feels a little cheap.
So Saurod and Beastman just start shooting at her. They start a fire in the gym. I love that the theme of the prom seems to just be anywhere but here. Because there was like a Big Ben, an Eiffel Tower,
Yeah.
pyramids and palm trees, and,
Right.
a pagoda.
Yeah.
There's like the Leaning Tower of Pisa is in there. Fucking weird, dude. Karg says stop shooting. She might be able to lead us to the key, you
Oh,
guys.
yeah. Good call.
He's the brains. Now, as they surround her, Julie, she scurries under the stage.
I love the shot of Beastman tearing through the streamers and tinsel. Like the up shot of him as he's like waving violently at the tinsel. It's like, what?
Blade is just stabbing at her blindly, like through the stage.
Right.
So I think the orders of don't kill her have just gone out the window. Also, they're back to kill mode. She throws that bucket of ammonia or whatever in Wolfman's face, or
Beastman's face, yeah.
Beastman's face, and then escapes. Outside, He-Man hears Julie screaming for help. He runs to her. Julie flees into the junkyard.
Is anyone
No
else
place safer.
Is anyone else dubious that the junkyard is right next door to Central High School?
I don't know. This is like Backlot USA.
Oh man, guys, I love a good backlot, especially one that like uses the same sets over and over again.
Yes.
That's rad.
I'm a fan.
So the baddies just follow her into the junkyard. They're searching for her in there. He-Man finds her and scares her, but he convinces her that he's here to help. He was like, he had a weird delivery. It was just that, don't be afraid.
Well, it's because it sounds like he can't speak English. Like English is a second language, which maybe it was for.
I think he had a Swedish accent.
Yeah,
he had a
'cause
pretty
he's
heavy
from-
accent at the time.
He's
Yeah.
like, don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. I won't hurt you.
I won't hurt you.
He's just a big jack dude in his underwear who just grabbed her, though. But it was like that dude we talk about every Schwarzenegger movie. Has a
Yeah.
scene where Arnold just grabs a woman and tells her, don't worry, I'm not going to hurt you.
I'm not gonna hurt you.
This imposing guy.
It's like huge,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're right. Cool. That's fine.
So for some reason, he picks her up and carries her and lays her down in a pile of garbage.
You know, like, and gives her a gun.
Tells her, here's a gun, defend yourself. Why did he pick her up?
I don't know.
I don't know either, man.
Not like, come over here and sit down. I will set you amongst the garbage.
So, he easily takes out Stormtrooper number 1 and grabs the dude's blaster and then just starts laying waste.
Again,
to
the
whole
weapons
army.
are all so big and clearly very heavy. It's like he's struggling
He's
to like
wielding them.
Oh god!
So Saurod's about to shoot He-Man, but Julie notices and she shoots Saurod, whose armor maybe saved him.
It
I
looks
guess.
like, I thought he shot the gun out of his hand or something.
She shot the gun out of his hand, or he shot the gun out of He-Man's?
He shot the gun out of He-Man's hand, and then she shot Saurod, and it like banked and caught him, and he
At
fell or
least,
something.
okay.
I don't know.
I don't know what's happening. But yeah, Beastman grabs He-Man. They start to grapple a little bit. He-Man knocks him down. Blade pops out, gives a little display of swordsmanship.
I've waited a long time for this.
See, I think He-Man took that eye.
Yeah, a lot of unwritten history.
There's a lot of
It's
backstory
implied,
here.
yeah.
Waiting for the prequels still. He-Man, he bests Blade with ease, and then he beats up Saurod. He stops Karg from taking Julie by just throwing his sword at him, which there's really no reason that would stop Karg from just grabbing her, though. Still, it's like, the sword! Let me just
we
run
don't know
for
what the
it.
sword's power is.
Now, just then, Duncan and Tila show up. They run in shooting. The 4 mercenaries, they retreat. He-Man tells Tila and Duncan to follow those baddies because they must have a portal back to Eternia.
Right.
Which is a good point, right?
Yep.
Is the portal just open in the high school somewhere? It has been?
It
has
opened
to
in
be.
the lobby.
They don't have a key
No.
to get back.
Nope.
So I guess the portal is just sitting there open. Anyway, He-Man tells Julie he needs her help. Cut to Charlie's music shop. Kevin has arrived. He's just Jimi Hendrix is blasting, which caught me off guard.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wait, yeah, this is a weird music choice. Like you have a good song, like a classic rock that seems like it probably would have
Charlie's
been
got
expensive.
good taste.
Well, yeah.
But it's like looped. It's like the same like 10 seconds.
Oh. Do you remember when Kevin said he was going to be gone for 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Like however long ago that was. Charlie says to him, I heard you were good last night at Club Zero. And Kevin's like, thanks, no, man, we're going to be better tonight. See, so prom is
At the
tonight.
prom. At the
You're going to
prom.
rock this high school prom. A waste of time, though, the viewer's time. Just
Yeah.
weird lines
Yeah.
that amount to nothing.
We're supposed to respect him as a musician now.
His
I
chops. Charlie thinks he's good.
Yeah.
Kevin, he shows him the cosmic key. Charlie just immediately bullshitting. It's like, oh, I've seen these before. It's Japanese. What?
Bullshit.
Is he just pathological liar? Like, I don't know why he leaps straight to lying about it.
Oh, Charlie.
But they have the same line of thought that it comes from Japan.
All the best
Yeah.
stuff comes from Japan.
That's right. This is the 1980s.
Kevin assures Charlie that he's wrong and shows him how it works. Charlie's mind is blown, though, by the light show. Dude, yeah. Charlie wants to buy it off of him. Says, and he wants to know where he found it. I've never seen anything like it, he says, which is just immediately flies in the face of his, I've seen
I've
these
seen
before.
this before.
Kevin tells him it was in a crater, and I found it in a crater in the cemetery.
I love Kevin's honesty.
He said, I hoped you would know what it was. Kevin fiddles with it some more, and Charlie remarks, Oh, Mr. Pitch Perfect.
Can confirm he did hit a D sharp.
Oh, yeah? Are you Pitch Perfect?
No.
As well?
No.
I thought you were for some
I
reason.
have good relative pitch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Explain to the audience what means Pitch Perfect.
Yeah, having perfect pitch means that you hear a note and you immediately know what that note is.
We know that's just going to be important later in the film, apparently. Because otherwise, there's really no reason for it. Now, does it mean you can memorize something from hearing at a time or two?
Not necessarily, but you would know exactly like
you could remember the notes, maybe.
Right.
Okay. Now, the pair, they notice a flurry of fire trucks zooming past the shop. Charlie turns on his humongous radio that he has. It looked like it had a TV built into it, maybe.
Yeah,
it was like one of those. They hear there's a fire at the high school. Kevin's thinking, oh, shit, that's where I abandoned Julie.
On her last night
in town. What? Yeah.
What's going to happen?
Kevin runs out of there to investigate, and that's where we will leave you.
Oh, my gosh. The suspense is really ramping up.
This movie keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Is He-Man in this movie?
We've seen him for...
We saw him for 2 minutes.
In the last 20 minutes, he's appeared in about 2 minutes of the film.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Kyle, how are you doing?
I'm fine.
Good. Kevin, how are you doing?
I'm great.
We all made it.
Thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks to our friends on the Last of the Action Hero Podcast Network
That's
for
right.
listening.
We hope you guys will tune in for episode 3, that you won't leave us alone with this hot garbage, as my friend Andrew Miller would say, and good journey.
We'll be
journey.
back.